WIBTA if I refuse to go to my daughter's wedding because my wife isn't invited?
I never wanted children. I was always careful, always wore a condom, but somehow I ended up getting my ex pregnant. I begged her to abort or to consider adoption, but she wanted to keep the pregnancy. We ended up moving in together and I met my wife around the same time. We were in the same friend group and I was instantly very attracted to her. I guess people call it an emotional affair. I told her about my problems and she was supportive and believed if a woman could abort, a man should have the right to walk away. My ex gave birth to twins and I stayed for the first 6 months, but honestly I just didn't love them. I didn't want to be a father, the feelings weren't there, and I was becoming very depressed. I hated my life and I think if I stayed I would have ended up severely depressed or an alcoholic. My wife graduated around that time and was moving back to California. We were in New York, so across the country. She said I should come with her and start over.
She said something that really stuck with me about how if I don't walk away now I can't do it in 5 years, and right now is the moment to hurt my kids the least. I told my ex that it wasn't working and I didn't want to be a dad. I moved to California and married my wife, but I paid all of my child support, paid for their education, extracurriculars, etc. When the twins were 18 they wanted to meet me, and I felt ready. My son and I built a good relationship, but my daughter hates my wife. She wants her to apologize for telling me it was alright to leave, which obviously even if she did say that, I made the decision. My daughter is getting married and recently said my wife is not invited. I told her that is incredibly disrespectful and you can't invite half of a couple. She said she is selfish and evil and just said those things so I'd move with her.
I fully paid for this wedding, which I probably wouldn't have if I knew this ahead of time, but I told her I will not publicly disrespect my wife. Question: how does your wife feel about this? I can't imagine why she would want to go.
Info: have you ever sat down with your daughter and explained that your decision to not be a part of her life was yours and yours alone?
Why did you ever tell your children, or ex, what your wife said? Yeah. Your daughter will hold this against you as well. She has a right to be upset you are the one who left, and yes, it was you who made the decision. In her mind though, if she hadn't said that, she would have had her daddy. NTA for not attending, because after all we all have choices, but TUDA for thinking your wife is entitled to go to her wedding just because she is your wife. That is not how it works at all, and you can invite only half of a couple if you don't like one of them. It is her day, not yours, and to me, this part is incredibly selfish and childish of you.
Info: the username is making me wonder if you are actually the daughter. If not, why would you tell your daughter your wife encouraged you to abandon your family? I feel like this post doesn't make sense and is either fake or the daughter actually writing it. WIBTA, you're not the asshole for not going to the wedding, but your wife isn't entitled to come. Your daughter can invite whoever she wants. Also, a lot of people here are saying that you've been clear from the start that you don't want children. So it's all okay. Like somehow that erases the abandonment your kids felt growing up. Money helps, but it's hardly the same as having a father in your life. Just because you didn't want them in your life doesn't mean they didn't want you. Just because you were clear with your ex that you didn't want children doesn't mean your children didn't hurt over the fact that their father left them as infants because he didn't love them. You're lucky your son was more willing to forgive you and your wife, but your daughter is entitled to feel the way she does. WIBTA, are you really surprised your kid doesn't like the woman who encouraged her father to abandon her? And how the heck do they even know she said this? Info: how do your kids know what wife said? Or that she convinced you to move to California? Did your ex tell them, or did you? You say your wife was in your friend group, so that makes it super likely that your ex knew her and was probably also friends with her. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you left the mother of your children for a mutual friend, blamed this friend for giving you the push, and then never interacted with your children at all after that. Your daughter has no connection to you or your wife. but loves her mother because she spent her whole life with her as a caregiver. Now she's put in a position where she has to expose a person she loves to someone who hurt her to appease the desires of a person she barely knows. NTA for staying home. They'll be relieved they don't have to deal with you. YTA. Not inviting half a couple is rude. You know, when it's a normal couple. Maybe you've never asked, but imagine how awful your kids felt growing up. They thought, and you said, they weren't loved by their father. They know you chose your wife over them. Your wife encouraged you to absolutely abandon your family. And you expect your children to act like that never happened? I wouldn't have invited you or your wife to my wedding. But your kids are nicer than me. YTA. You left your kid and are expecting her to not have resentment towards you? She has the right to not invite your wife to her wedding if she doesn't have a relationship with her. It's her wedding and she can decide who she wants to invite and not invite. Yeah, YTA. Your daughter is absolutely within her rights to say, that's the woman who convinced you to walk out of my life when I was a baby. So I don't want her at my wedding. Stay home with your wife, since she means more to you than your daughter. And let your daughter have the wedding she wants without drama. You didn't want to be a dad anyway. You said so yourself. So why would you try to be at her wedding now? YTA. She doesn't want person who she hates attend her wedding. It's her wedding and she decides to invite it. Now you try to blackmail her by saying you have saying because you paid. You chose to pay. She has no relation to your wife, but you are her dad. Even if you don't want to be and she wants her dad to be there, but like always, you don't really care about her. I mean, that's why you left them. You did not want to be dad, and your wife becomes before her. My question is, who thought it was a good idea to tell your kids that their stepmother told you to leave when they were infants? Feels like an unnecessary and hurtful amount of details was shared with them. I don't understand why you opened up contact with your kids if you weren't even willing to make up for where you went wrong. You should have just left it at no contact and let them lead on their lives without you. Even if they were the ones who reached out, you should have maintained that silence instead of allowing them into your lives without being willing to accept the responsibility of what you did. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be willing to have your adult kids in your life and expect them to be happy and open to you and your wife who made it easy for you to escape your responsibility. I'm all for being child-free, but in that I take responsibility for my body to ensure I don't end up pregnant. You are the only one responsible for ensuring you don't impregnate someone, and you failed in that responsibility horribly. Throwing money at that situation just shows your lack of empathy for what those young adults went through.
WIBTA.
YTA for thinking your wife is entitled to attend. You don't need to ever invite the whole couple. Your daughter doesn't have to invite someone she doesn't like to her wedding, her special day. Also YTA for making plans to move away with another woman while you are still with your wife and the marriage relationship before you start conversations like that with someone else. I know it was a while ago, but dude, really, talking to someone else like that is cheating. Even if you weren't emotionally invested in your relationship, end it first. YTA. Your name on here is Lilia Rose. Is this even your story, or are you the affair partner looking for a reason why she is not the YTA. You didn't want to act like a father, but now you want to get treated as one. And there aren't midways on this matter. You either are or aren't a father. You can skip between the two for your convenience. You paid for your daughter's wedding, but that was up to you. You decided to do it by yourself, out of remorse or whatever. But you can't take that like a card for triumph. Your daughter is entitled to invite whoever she wants. If she doesn't want to invite your wife, which I understand since the poor thing believes that she is a witch who stole her father. Instead of realizing you're just a cold-blooded man without the guts to tell her the truth, it's her right. Why WIBTA? Your kids have no relationship with your wife, and you admit she is the reason you abandoned them, so of course your daughter wouldn't want her at the wedding. WIBTA for wanting to force your wife on your daughter when it's been made clear daughter wants NC. I'm curious, why would your wife even want to go? Your wife sounds pragmatic. B. See, the advice she gave you in the beginning is something a pragmatic person would say.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.